Okay, my wonderful, outstanding friends, before I get into this too deeply, I want you to understand interstitium is basically a new human organ that they never saw before because they didn't understand how complex this system is, and the interstitium and the interstitial fluids and all of that and the bacteria bound membranes all works together now. And scientists said in a study published Tuesday that they might have stumbled on a previously unknown organ, the biggest in the human body, and one that could significantly advance our understanding of cancer and many other diseases. I am going to explain to you precisely what the interstitium is, and they are exactly correct, but it's the bacteria that live there that we really need to look into. Okay, so we know that there's a chance for whole new medical thinking here, and here is the reason why. These fluid-filled sacs are not just nothing, they're filled with bacteria, and every different place in your body has different bacteria, and there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of different species. And as I will show you, or have shown you, bacteria primarily are single-celled creatures that create pretty much a specific set of chemistry to do a specific job. So if you don't have the correct bacteria living in the correct quantities in the correct places, you're open to invasion. That's what pre-existing conditions are. Somebody that's just open to invasion. Now, as Dr. Teese was talking about with the interstitium being a fluid-filled highway, exactly. And these bacteria can go through there a bazillion miles an hour, right? Literally. So what happens is the invading bacteria, if there's nothing to stop them, and normally you're going to have layer after layer after layer after layer of membrane. They're not just a few layers here. There's literally thousands of layers in membranes. It's just amazing how complicated the human body is. And every layer is another depth of another layer of protection. And that's what stage 1, 2, 3, 4 cancer is. Finally it hits the end and boom, it's in, and case is closed, and you're in trouble. And that's what we need to know. What is the bacteria here? Then this one, and then this one, and then that one, and then down below. And they're probably going to be all different types of bacteria. In a healthy person, they'll all be in a line. And, you know, that type of thing. I don't know. We need to find out. But what we're looking here is mucosa. All right, what is mucosa? It could be anything that's skin to the lining of your intestines, your stomach. Any membrane will have a layer on the outside, and then it'll have all these fluid-filled sacs, and then it'll have a layer on the bottom, and then you get into the tissue. This is the surrounding of all your organs. It's the gooey stuff that's over the top of your muscles and so forth. And what happens in this collagen, this is the collagen bundles. You see this real pinky stuff? That stuff is really floppy, just like flappy goo, like Jello. But it's, you know, it's got, you know, connective properties. So it's not just going to just fall apart. It's strappy, but it is floppy. Now, these are tough. These are the springs, the brown ones. And what they do is they open the bag back up. If you lay down or you twist or you do this or that, it'll stretch, it'll pull this way. And I believe that these bags, they don't just stay filled. They'll squirt water into this one. They'll squirt it down here. They'll squirt it over here. They're just wide open system. And that's what gives you the ability to float on that pillow of watery fluids and fabric. Now, the black ball stakes the interstitial spring. Here's what's happening in a lot of diseases. I'm finding a ton of diseases. These springs are breaking. They're fibers. They're fibritic. They're not floppy like this. And then they get caught in this interstitial fluid, and then they get caught in the lymph nodes and the lymph ducts and, you know, the terminal tips of your fingers where you're transferring over through these little tiny blood vessels, and they can really clog things up. And I have found that some of these veins around the heart actually increase 6 times bigger in the lymph areas, and it's got to be, they're supposed to be like, say, 1 millimeter. They go 6 millimeters. They could grow up to be, because something's forcing them to expand. They're getting plugged up. Now, why are these things breaking? In the COVID, it appears something's going on with the COVID where there's the two different types of collagens. I think it's 1 and 3 are not staying in their correct ratios. So if something's breaking, I think, with these fibers, because the kids are getting all kinds of skin conditions and pimples and sores and rashes and COVID toe, and their lungs are not failing because they're very strong, but they're still apparently getting, and they said 21% of the people that have COVID, the only thing they get is a rash. They don't even know they have COVID other than the skin rashes. And that's because I think these fibers are getting caught in the lymph node spots on the skin. And I showed you that, or I will show you. I'm just going to throw this in. I've talked about proteins. Excluding water and fat, the human body is made up almost entirely of protein. Protein is the main component: muscles, bones, organs, skin, nails, everything in your body, hair, the whole 9 yards. Outside of fat and water, that's what you're made of, is proteins, and that's what bacteria can work with, is proteins. Okay, my wonderful, outstanding friends, this is about as serious as it gets. And I am not just a crazy person spouting off about things I don't understand. I do understand the things I'm talking about. This will be a presentation made for professionals that are in the industry, the medical industry, that don't fully understand the role of bacteria relating to enzymes and catalysts. We're going to get deep into that. I just wanted to show this because I have 143 highly cited papers mention my name, over 3,000 papers that I'm talked about in academia. I am outside of academia, absolutely. I'm not an academic. I deal in material, physical, testable science, not theories. Let me show you what I am relating to. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are a product of bacteria. All right, just think about this carefully. Proteins, what are they and what do they do in your body? Well, proteins are very complex molecules. They play many critical roles in the body. They do most of the work in the cells and are required for structure, function, regulation, body tissues, organs. They're everything. They are your everything. Now, what about these things? What do? They create antibodies. Some of the functions are antibodies, enzymes, messenger RNAs to send down instructions. Structural components, they make building blocks so that you can be strong and so forth. Transport and storage, they transport oxygen and all the different molecules through your body, primarily using ferritins, and which are iron components. But this is what their function is. These are proteins. Now, what's the story between proteins and enzymes and catalysts? Well, proteins are enzymes and catalysts. An enzyme carries out almost all of the thousands of chemical reactions that take place inside of a cell. They also assist with the formation of new molecules by reading genetic information stored in DNA. Well, who do you think does that? Who reads these things? Who programs them? Who sends the commands out? Who builds the molecules? Who sniffs around for invaders? I say it's the bacteria that's in your body. And if you don't have the bacteria, you'll fall over dead, because there's nothing else in your body does anything that I can find out except bacteria. The only other thing that I think might happen just spontaneously is oxygen binding in your lungs. But I'm going to tell you this, inside your lungs, 100% of the inside of your lungs is coated with slime or something to keep out invading molecules. If I showed you how many molecules there are of bacteria within 1 cubic meter, I think it's millions. I think I might have already showed you that. But anyway, you have to be protected. The only way you can be protected is by the your linings, your membranes. Everything that touches the air, you have to keep the bad stuff out and let the good stuff in. It's a very, very complex dance, and it is orchestrated by bacteria. That's the only thing I can find that does anything in your body is bacteria. Everything else is a response to the bacteria giving commands. Now, I don't know if I said this or not, but this is primarily directed towards my buddy here, Andy, who is working with NASA. And this is Andy Marino. He owns this company here that they do food service testing and all kinds of pathogen stuff. I mean, it's pretty sophisticated bacterial stuff. And he told me they have a machine that they can actually see the bacteria without doing all the cultures and things. I only talked to him last night briefly for a little bit, so I need to engage with him again about it. But we need to be able to look at these bacteria. Now, Andy, talk to your buddies over there at NASA. He gave a speech to NASA, I don't know, a week or so ago about growing plants in space and how to protect them from, hey Andy, to protect them from all of the, hazards in space. And, you're sort of confined out there. You can't just go out for a breath of fresh air. So they're trying to figure out how to grow things better and so forth. And they got all kinds of testing going on, and it's very, very sophisticated. And this is the Safety Food Surveillance Program. And he does this, he's got a bunch of labs, and they actually do all of this testing for the food coming into the country. But now NASA wants to know about growing it in space and sanitizing the seeds and But Andy's got some kind of input. I hope he's going to be able to do something for me here and talk to NASA, talk to somebody, because we need to get this done. And we're not trying to create any monsters or anything like that. We're not doing any mRNA, nothing like that. All we're doing is sampling. And if he has a machine, I know he can sample bacteria. He said, yeah, no problem, I could do it if it was a plant, but they don't like doing things like this about, human beings. It's like, he said animals and so forth is different. Well, all I'm doing is testing it. When you send something for biopsy, that's all you're doing is testing it, see what's in there. I just want to know what lives in what places in the body, in bacteria. People donate their bodies to science all the time. That's what it is for, to test it and see what lives where. And when we see a diseased person, what's that all about? What's going on with that one? And then we draw conclusions based on the preponderance of evidence that supports the good microbiome versus the bad one. All right, what I do is I start at the end and then I tell you how we got there. What are we talking about? Every bit of biology, 100% of anything that's alive runs on bacteria. Without the bacteria, it would just fall over dead instantly. Bacteria create products. Right? They create products. They're not just living in you to break you or hurt you, or living in there just strictly to help you. They create products. They're designed to create such elegant products you could never imagine, the products that bacteria are able to create. And what do they do in addition to creating these elegant enzymes and catalysts? They eat. So they break down the stuff that's coming through your body, so your body can end up eating the poop that the bacteria end up creating, which is edible to us. It has to be in a molecular form, an atomic form, and that's what the bacteria does. It breaks it down using enzymes and catalysts, just eating it and what it gives off. In addition, it creates mucus. That's the slime inside of you. And what does that do? It covers every single membrane in your body. And if you had any clue as to the number of membranes in your body, you'd fall on the floor and never get back up again. I'm telling you, there are more membranes in your body than you could possibly ever imagine. And every single one of them is bound with bacteria. And that bacteria is your immunity. So let's start from the beginning again. Biology runs on bacteria. Your body is there. It's strictly to support the bacteria. The bacteria isn't there, you're dead. You'd fall over dead. Your body is being commanded to do the things it does by bacteria. There's nobody in there that's running around saying, move you around, do this, do that. Oh, it comes out of the brain. It sends a nervous signal. How does it do that? How exactly is that done? You think it just happens? All this squirts, these chemicals, all these... And when you see what an enzyme and a catalyst is constructed of, these proteins, they're so elegant, it's just unbelievable. It would take a coder 100 years to write these codes. The way they fold, and it's just amazing. So they eat, they poop, they make enzymes, they make catalysts, they make mucus, they make serosa, they make lymph fluids that flow all through your body, and they float fast. These bacteria can move like a rocket ship through you. And bacteria is good and bad, so don't tell me, oh, we don't want good bacteria. We want bacteria. You have trillions and trillions and trillions of bacteria in your body right this instant. There's more bacteria than there is you in you. The rest of the stuff is just there as a support system for the bacteria. That's all I can figure out now. If we without the bacteria, you're done. And the bacteria can make you feel happy, unhappy. It can make you sick. It can make you healthy. It can make you strong. It can make you weak. It can do every single thing that is done to you is done by bacteria. So that's my bottom line, is that we gotta understand the bacteria. It creates your immunity. They understand this now, but they just don't understand the big picture, the complexity, the web, the interconnections of everything. What it is we need a bacterial map. You say, well, what does that mean, Roger? That means every single part of your body is different than every other part of your body. Your fingernails are not you're not growing fingernails in your intestines, and your brain is different than your kneecaps and all that stuff. Everything's different. Your bones and your joints and your tendons and your muscles and your loose connective tissue and interstitium and all your organs and membranes, they're all made of different materials, but they're all basically made of proteins. They're made of things that your body can construct. And the things your body can construct are these little bits and pieces that are codes. They're literally codes. They're codes. If you don't have those codes, you're not programmed. If you can't get to the program, you can't get to the immunity. You can't get it fixed. Now, we need a bacterial map. Every single part of your body. What's near your kidneys? What's near your heart? What's near your lungs? What's near your thymus and your gallbladder, and all of these different places are going to have different types of salinity, which is pH. They're going to have all kinds of different chemistry will be there, and it has to be dealt with. And there's all kinds of collagens. There's 28 at least different collagens which make up membranes. Collagens are membranes. They're membranes, loose connective tissue. They're basically your foundational parts of your body. So, if we can get a bacterial map that says, here's what's living in these membranes, here's what's living in these membranes, here's next to your kidneys, here's next to your heart, here's your throat, here's your intestines, and this is the kind of bacteria we want to find there, bound in those membranes. If it's there, and that's a certain quantity of it, your immunity will be there. If it's not there, and there's something else taken over its place, then you got an issue. Then you're probably going to have Crohn's disease or some other invasive chemistry. Because this is bacteria that's bound there. It says, no, you stay out. I got mucus. I can push you back without slime. No problem. I got serosa. I can shoot out chemistry that will destroy you. I can make enzymes and catalysts. I'm a bacteria, buddy. You can't get past my membrane. But if you send down antibiotics and you killed all those membrane-bound bacteria, now you have invasive areas. And they are hard to repopulate. And that's what we need to understand. How do you repopulate them? What's supposed to be living there? What's living there now? And how do you repopulate the stuff that's supposed to be there? With that, we can heal a lot of people. And I'm telling you right now, cancers, it's stage 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what happens is the bacteria or the invasion that this is supposed to stop, our good bacteria, it can't stop it. And it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper because you have all these levels and layers in your membranes. I'm going to go into this very deeply because, like I said, this is going to be for, everybody should understand this. And I'll make it as simple as anybody 10 years old or older should be able to understand what I'm saying. I'm going to show the membranes that coat all your organs. Your skin is a membrane. Everything is a membrane that keeps something off of this side and all the good stuff on the other side. And if you penetrate that membrane with the bad stuff and your good stuff is not strong enough to react, you have no immunity. You're going to, and all of a sudden, boom, bang, boom, 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 all over your whole body you're attacked because it's in the system. It's in the lymph fluids. And if you don't have that one type of bacteria in this area here, you're probably not going to have it here or over here or anywhere. So, boom, your whole body gets attacked. What happens? You get tired. You get achy. You get feverish. You get inflammation in certain areas, the spots that are being attacked. The heat builds up there. All kinds of problems get created in that because it can't fight back. With this bacterial map and being able to check out, being able to do these little biopsies, and they can do them with a pinprick basically, and see what is the bacteria that's living in that spot that's bad. What's bacteria supposed to be there? We don't know. We have no idea right now. They don't do it that way. They just say take this stuff and flush your whole body, kill all the bacteria in there and see what happens. And it never works out well. It does not work out well. Very, very, very rarely, if ever. All right, you should really study bacteria. Well, what is bacteria? It's usually it's just a single-celled organism. And what it does is it has a single purpose in life is to create a single product. And where do they live? Let's just cut to the chase because there's a lot of verbiage about this. But here's the important part. They live on and in plants and animals. Most do not cause diseases. They're beneficial to their environments and are essential for life. They break down everything. The soil is a rich source of bacteria. Dirt is just saturated with bacteria. A few grams contain around 1,000 million. A few grams, that's just a couple little bits in your hand. 1,000 million of them, that's a billion. They are all essential to soil ecology, breaking down toxic waste and recycling nutrients. That's what they do. That's their job. They create little products to say, go out and break this up. And it goes out, done, instantaneously, where it would take possibly 100 years. It happens in microseconds of millions of chemical breakdown happens instantaneously. I mean, it's just stunning. They're even found in the atmosphere. 1 cubic meter of air holds around 100 million bacterial cells, a cubic meter of air. The oceans and seas harbor around all kinds of bacteria, which provide up to 50% of oxygen humans breathe. Only around 2% of bacteria species have been fully studied. And when they say fully, now, these are all the different capabilities they have to live in salts and acids and cold and hot and high pressures and all kinds of things. And then this is the different breakdown of what they do and what they look like and what they think they do. Now, where do they live in the body, though? They have no idea. There's no idea. They say they're in these different places, and most bacteria species are either spherical, and then they talk about what they look like and how they recoiled and shaped and so forth. Where are they in the body? There's no map. There's no map. We need a map. All right. This is the lymphatic and the blood circulation system, the spleen and the thymus. You don't really hear much about those. They are the internal organs most directly involved in the production and maturation process of lymphocytes, which are your white blood cells, and of those cells circulating inside the blood and the lymph, which is your lymph fluids, which is part of this interstitial fluids. And they defend the body, and they are your immune responses. That's where they live. two lymphocytic populations produce a double immune response. Humoral immunity due to the presence of antibodies inside the blood plasma, and the cellular immunity due to the presence of cells which are able to trigger an immune response. What that means is some cells can go and alert the other bacteria to trigger a response. Some of them have lymphocytic populations, double, humoral immunity due to the presence of antibodies. So they already have antibodies. Then the other ones trigger responses based on the chemistry they see as intelligent little creatures. The lymphocytes of B divide into plasma cells that are able to secrete antibodies. The antibodies are the chemistry sets that go and do whatever they have to do. And they are intelligent little creatures. I'm telling you, they are unbelievable elegance of the products they create. The lymphocytes T responsible for the immune memory. Now, immune memory means if you see that particular thing again, it's not going to be a problem. You automatically kill it instantaneously. If you don't have the memory for an immune response, what happens is you trigger some bacteria to start trying to figure it out. And that takes a little while. You're going to get sick. You're going to get inflamed. You're going to get whatever that spot that it's invading or whatever collagen it attacks. And pretty much I'm finding it's an attack of collagens. And the bacteria, I don't know whether they eat the collagens or they produce the collagens or they overproduce them, whatever is happening there. But in the COVID, I believe it's a collagen factor in the lungs, and I'm going to show you in the interstitium, because there's a springy portion and then there's a real flexy portion. And the springy portion, I believe, is creating the issues with COVID, and it's causing skin problems, it's causing all kinds of COVID toe and so forth. Anyway, we need to know where these bacteria live and then what products they create. We don't really care as much about the products they create. If they're living in this place here and everybody has lactobacillus B, and then a person that dies of this kind of infection in this organ has lactobacillus C living there. Well, why? Did it cause that infection? Did it cause a problem? Why is everybody else that has a B not having this issue? And every issue there is, a certain subset of people will not have that issue, and another one is exposed to the same stuff, they die. Why? Why is this people okay and they're walking around having a good time? These people go home and die. These people have the ability to fight back. Their bacteria has already defended them. They don't have to do anything. But they have to have that bacteria existing in their body in the right places, in the right quantities, at the right times, or they're in trouble. And that's what we need to know. Where is the bacteria? What is the bacteria? What is it? Where does it live? What is it? Or maybe there's different foods and different acidic things and vinegars and so forth that have an effect on this. pH is huge. All of these things are areas to investigate, at least. I mean, when I see the kind of money they spend to do things that I can see, they might be beneficial, but they're certainly not going to be beneficial like something like this. If you knew what everybody... Well, let me just put it this way. If I am right and it's the bacteria that's causing the issues, and it's the missing bacteria primarily that causes the invasive areas, then this is much more important than many, many, many things that they're spending trillions of dollars on. Okay, so once again, here's my claim, is that every single thing there is that's alive runs on bacteria. Bacteria are the chemists, the programmers, the deliverers, the cleanuppers, everything. And they eat, they poop, they make enzymes and catalysts. They live inside of us in those interstitial fluids. They move as fast as a rocket ship through there. They create mucus, serosa, lymph fluids, all kinds of invasive, protective chemistry, and then invasive chemistry too. Bad bacteria is as good as just exactly identical to good bacteria, only it's trying to survive in the body, and our bacteria is trying to kill it because it's trying to invade us. Now, 100% of membranes contain bacteria, 100%. And every membrane is bound with that bacteria if you have immunity. You don't have the bacteria, no immunity. We need a bacterial map. What lives where in the body? What's in your armpits versus your back of your throat versus your nose versus your eyeballs? All of that stuff has its own specific set of bacteria. What are the quantities? Where are they in you? What is healthy versus illness? All we need is tiny little simple biopsies to compare to the map. Is that good or is it bad? Maybe this is folly. Maybe this is nonsense. But if you have somebody that's sick and you think this could help, I think you'd be pretty interested, especially when they say they have cancer and there's nothing you can do and they want to do all kind of crazy things. And I have a feeling that most of this is related to a bacterial issue. Not necessarily bad bacteria, primarily good bacteria that cannot provide, it's not there anymore to provide the products you need and to provide the protections that you need. I think I have shown that pretty well. And because the bacteria create enzymes and catalysts, listen to what they do. A fundamental task of proteins is to act as enzymes. And what our bacteria does is they manipulate the proteins into creating enzymes, which are the chemistry sets. Enzymes are catalysts that increase the rate of virtually all the chemical reactions within cells. All the reactions that are going on there are happening because of enzymes. Although RNAs are capable of catalyzing some reactions, that's your messenger RNAs. That's only a half of it. Anyway, most biological reactions are catalyzed by proteins. Right? In the absence of enzymatic catalysts, most biological reactions are so slow that they would not occur under mild conditions of temperature and pressure that are compatible with life. Listen to this now. Enzymes accelerate the rate of such reactions that would normally occur, but they wouldn't occur for 100 years. They react by well over 1,000,000-fold faster than they would normally. So the reactions that would take years in the absence of those catalysts can occur in fractions of a second if catalyzed by the appropriate enzymes. And these enzymes are created by the bacteria, and they're created by proteins. And the bacteria know how to create them. And somebody's got to tell them. They don't just create them all day long and say just go out and squirt all over everything. No, they have to be said, I need some catalysts, I need some enzymes down here. So what's the problem? Well, we're being attacked by COVID-19, so what do you need? Well, we need some of that, and some of that, and it says, all right, I'll get it down there, and zip, it jumps down and it tags onto some of the lymph fluids and all the different bodily fluids, and it goes to where it has to go and it detaches. And that's done with the transition metals. I mean, I've done a lot of research on this. I'm not just some meatball that has a bunch of ideas that have no foundation. Anyway, enzymes accelerate the rates by well over 1,000,000-fold. So it happens right away, instantaneously. Cells contain thousands of different enzymes, right? Cells in your body, they contain thousands of different enzymes. Those are like different little chemistry sets. And their activities determine which of the many possible chemical reactions actually take place within that cell. If you don't have the chemistry set, you're not going to get it done. And that chemistry set didn't fall together like that. When I showed you, or I will show you, how elegant these biological molecules are, they're absolutely phenomenally elegant. Just completely impossible for that to just to fall together like that. And then have them everywhere, just flushing you, and doing all of the processes in your body. We are made to work to drag around bacteria. I mean, that's just all I can tell you. It seems that that's the only thing that keeps you healthy. And if you're healthy, you're happy, your bacteria's happy, you're happy, everything goes. And when one or the other doesn't get happy, we got issues. Now, I need somebody to do this, and I need somebody to do this right away. Roger@mudfossils.com. No D on the Roger. All right? And I need some, Andy, please, my friend, do what you can, buddy. Talk to your people at wherever you got people. You know, it's I'd really appreciate it, my friend. All right, I love you all. Thank you. I hope this helped somebody or anybody. And like I say, probacterias, probiotics. So far, they've seemed to be a pretty good interim step at helping your immune system. I don't know if it's obviously it's not going to be for every condition because there's thousands and thousands of different bacteria. They only put, I don't know, dozens in these, but there's a lot of bits and pieces to them. They have thousands and thousands and billions of the bacteria in these pills, but they don't have all of the different specific strains. And the specific strains are engineered to make specific chemistry. If you don't have that specific strain and your specific chemistry requires it, then you are specifically out of luck. So if we could figure out what that specific strain is and specifically where it goes in your body and figure a specific way to attach it back in there somehow, that would be pretty nice. Just to go squirt a little piece down in there and then you go home. Have a nice day. Your cancer, she's fixed.